Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Sanmata is the Lord Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. You are able to see my screen, Mata is Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. Thank you, Mata. Yes. Please read Samyukta Mata, this one.
Yes, Prabhuji. All the perfections of the yoga system can be realized through mantra yoga, chanting of Hare Krishna. From authoritative sources, we learn that this chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is the embodiment of the perfection of yoga for this age. Shall I continue, Prabhuji, this one also?
Oh, yeah.
Today we have great difficulties living 50 or 60 years. A man lives at the utmost 80 or 100 years. In addition, these brief years are always fraught with anxiety, with difficulties due to circumstances of war, pestilence, famine, and so many other disturbances. We are also not very intelligent, and at the same time, we are unfortunate. These are the characteristics of man living in Kali Yuga and degraded age. So, properly speaking, we can never attain success in the meditational yoga system described by Krishna. At the utmost, we can only gratify our personal whims by some
Pseudo
short
adaptation.
pseudo adaptation of the system. Thus, people are paying money to attend some classes in gymnastic exercises and deep breathing, and they are happy if they think they can lengthen their lifetimes by a few years or enjoy better sex life. But we must understand this is not the actual yoga system. In this age, the meditational system cannot be properly executed. Instead, all of the perfections of the system can be realized through Bhakti Yoga, the sublime process of Krishna consciousness. Specifically, Mantra Yoga, the glorification of Sri Krishna through the chanting of Hare Krishna, that is recommended in Vedic scriptures and is introduced by great authorities like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Completed, Mata. This is a
Okay.
paragraph by Srila Prabhupada.
Oh.
Small book, The Perfection of Yoga. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Indeed, the Bhagavad Gita proclaims that the Mahatmas, the great souls, are always chanting the glories of the Lord. If one wants to be a Mahatma in terms of the Vedic literature, in terms of Bhagavad Gita, and in terms of the great authorities, then one has to adopt this process of Krishna consciousness and of chanting Hare Krishna. But if we are content at making a show of meditation by sitting very straight in lotus position and going into a trance like some sort of performer, then that is a different thing. But we should understand that such show bottle performance have nothing to do with the actual perfection of yoga. The material disease cannot be cured by artificial medicine. We have to take the real cure state from Krishna, the perfection of yoga. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mata. Thank you. Thank you for reading. This is from Srila Prabhupada's one of the paragraph, The Perfection of Yoga. So about the chanting the holy names of the Lord. These are the inspirations from Srila Prabhupada books. Sri Namamrita, they have compiled from Srila Prabhupada books. Wherever Srila Prabhupada emphasized about the chanting the holy names of the Lord and the importance of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. These are the inspirations and reflections Srila Prabhupada given in his purports. So this temporary material nature and this Kali Yuga, 50, 60, we never know how long we live. So whatever destined to live, we definitely live. That's for sure. But it's short-lived time. No, nobody, if you take 100 people, nobody live 100 years. Some live 30, 40, 60, 90, 80 like that. In the short-lived time, lifetimes, what is saying Srila Prabhupada here? With anxiety. In this 30, 40, 60, 90 years, everything is in this material world is defined like that. Anxieties, difficulties, different wars, pestilence, famine, etc. Living, these are the characteristics is given. Degraded age. So properly speaking, we can never attain success in this meditational yoga system described by Krishna. At the utmost, we can only gratify. What is they saying? So there are different yoga systems mentioned, right? Jnana, karma, Ashtanga yoga. Right? So again, he is mentioned, instead of all the perfection that system can be realized in Bhakti Yoga, the sublime process of Krishna consciousness, specifically Mantra Yoga, the glorification of Sri Krishna through the chanting of Hare Krishna, that is recommended in Vedic scriptures and introduced by great authorities like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what it is saying here, chant the holy names of the Lord is the only way. For all the problems, take out any problems. And when we chant, what happens? We are in the spiritual nature. Even though we are not 100% in spiritual nature, but the power of holy name is like that. When we take the beads and start chanting, we are in the spiritual nature. We are remembering Krishna. We are trying to, glorify Krishna through the chanting the holy names of the Lord. So one verse I wanted to share here. I have seen one line just during the reading. What he's saying is a beautiful statement. Difficulties, okay. We are passionate, okay. At most glorify by can they say Indeed, the Bhagavad Gita proclaims that the Mahatmas, the great souls, are always chanting the glories of the Lord. If one wants to Mahatma in terms of the Vedic literature, in terms of the Bhagavad Gita, in terms of great authorities, then one has to adopt the Krishna consciousness and chanting the Hare Krishna. So we are reciting slokas, right? There's wonderful sloka I wanted to show you. Then we'll begin with our readings. So today onwards, we'll read Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter. Okay. So 1 second. Let me share them.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I didn't share that Chaitanya Charitamrita.
It's okay.
I'll share.
The other Bhagavatam also we are not doing, and 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also I think we didn't do. We'll do those review sessions complete week. We'll plan like that. Okay. That complete week we will go through all the previous chapters. Yeah. So 9 dot, yes. Great souls. Yes. Anybody likes to recite this one? Please recite and read translation. In connection with Srila Prabhupada's paragraph, I remember this verse. Great souls perpetually, and that is a process, that is a method. Prabhupada is given Prabhupada statements, Prabhupada's purports. Read this one. Read. Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Bhagavad Gita 9.14. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantacha drudabhrutah namasyantacha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Translation. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, the great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So the in connection with Srila Prabhupada's purport, this paragraph, the Bhagavad Gita proclaims that the Mahatma, the great souls, are always chanting the glories of the Lord. If one wants to be Mahatma, addressing for all living entities, whoever, of course, human beings, all the people of this world, if one wants to be a Mahatma in terms of the Vedic literature, in terms of Bhagavad Gita, in terms of great authorities, then what needs to be done? One has to adopt this process of Krishna consciousness and of chanting Hare Krishna. Beautiful verse, right? Satatam kirtayanto ma yatantascha drudabhrata namasyantascha mam bhakti nityayukta upasita. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, And these great souls perpetually means no stoppage, always perpetually worshiping with devotion, right? Then that person is a Mahatma. He is a very great soul, it's very rare. Yeah. Okay, so let us begin with our Mangalacharana prayers. Yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Di Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Let me open a chart. Yeah, please continue, Mother. How many verses? Let me see. 28 verses. Yeah, there is small chapter. Yeah, you can. What is the title name? Title name is Attaining the Supreme. Chapter 8. Yeah. Yeah,
Hare Krishna,
please.
Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Dandavat
Mother.
Pranam.
Not a problem. Go ahead.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? What are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Purport. In this chapter, Lord Krishna answers different questions from Arjuna, beginning with what is Brahman. The Lord also explains karma, fruitive activities, devotional service and yoga principles, and devotional service in its pure form. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the Supreme Absolute Truth is known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. In addition, the living entity, the individual soul, is also called Brahman. Arjuna also inquires about Atma, which refers to the body, soul, and mind. According to the Vedic dictionary, Atma refers to the mind, soul, body, and senses also. Arjuna also addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottama, Supreme Person, which means that he was putting these questions not simply to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the Supreme Authority, able to give definitive answers. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Definitive answers. Yeah. Yeah. Mother, Samyukta Mother.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in the body? O Madhusudana, and how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Purport. Lord of sacrifice may refer to either Indra or Vishnu. Vishnu is the chief of the primal demigods, including Brahma and Shiva, and Indra is the chief of the administrative demigods. Both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by Yajna performance. But here Arjuna asks who is actually the Lord of Yajna, sacrifice, and how the Lord is residing within the body of the living entity. Arjuna addresses the Lord as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed a demon named Madhu. Actually, these questions, which are of the nature of doubts, should not have arisen in the mind of Arjuna because Arjuna is a Krishna conscious devotee. Therefore, these doubts are like demons. Since Krishna is so expert in killing demons, Arjuna here addresses him as Madhusudana so that Krishna might kill the demonic doubts that arise in Arjuna's mind.
Complete it.
Okay, Prabhuji. Now the word prayana kale in this verse is very significant because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. Arjuna is very anxious to know of those who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. What should be their position at that final moment? At the time of death, all the bodily functions are disrupted and the mind is not in a proper condition. Thus, disturbed by the bodily situation, one may not be able to remember the Supreme Lord. Maharaja Kulashekara, a great devotee, prays, "My dear Lord, just now I am quite healthy, and it is better that I die immediately, so that the swan of my mind can seek entrance at the stem of your lotus feet." The metaphor is used because the swan, a bird of the water, takes pleasure in digging into the lotus flowers. Its sporting proclivity is to enter the lotus flower. Maharaja Kulashekara says to the Lord, "Now my mind is undisturbed and I am quite healthy. If I die immediately thinking of your lotus feet, then I am sure that my performance of your devotional service will become perfect. But if I have to wait for my natural death, then I do not know what will happen, because at that time the bodily functions will be disturbed, my throat will be choked up, and I do not know whether I shall be able to chant your name." Scroll, little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Better let me die immediately. Arjuna questions how a person can fix his mind on Krishna's lotus feet at such a time. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. So this one, King Kulashekara's prayers. Krishna Tadiya Padapantaranjam Advaita Machyutam. It's a beautiful prayer actually. King Kulashekara, great devotee of the Lord, he was saying this one, when my bodily parts are perfect, I mean, in good condition, I want to die immediately. So I wanted to remember. So that is his prayer. Because at the time of death, the bodily functions will be disrupted. Throat will be choked up. I do not know whether I shall be able to chant your name. So that's a prayer, King Kulashekara prayer. So from here, Krishna is speaking again. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Yep. Lavanya, want to read? Hare Krishna. Are you there? Yeah. Okay. Akinchan Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said the indestructible transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma. The self action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma, or the fruitive activities. The purport: Brahman is irrestrictive and eternal existing, and its constitution is not changed at any time. But beyond Brahman, there is Param Brahman. Brahman refers to the living entities, and Param Brahman refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The constitutional position of the living entity is different from the position it takes in the material world. In material consciousness, its nature is to try to lord over the lord of matter. But in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness is position is to serve the Supreme. When the living entity in material consciousness, he has to take various bodies in the material world. That is karma, or varied creation by the force of material consciousness. In the Vedic literature, the living entity is called Jivatma and Brahman, but he is never called Parabrahman. The living entity Jivatma takes different positions. Sometimes he merges into the dark material nature and identifies himself with the matter, and sometimes he identifies himself with the superior spiritual nature. Therefore, he is called as Supreme Lord's marginal energy. According to the identification with the material or spiritual nature, he receives a material or spiritual body. In the material nature, he may take a body from any of 84 lakh species of life. But in spiritual nature, he has only one body. In the material nature, he is manifested sometimes as a man, demigod, animal, beast, bird, etc. According to these karma, to attain the material heavenly planets and to enjoy the facilities, he sometimes performs sacrifices, yagna. But when his spirit is exhausted, he returns to the earth again in the form of a man. This process is called karma.
Sure, bro. Thank you. Yeah. Aryan Prabhu.
Yes, Roji. The Chandogya Upanishad describes the Vedic sacrificial process on the sacrificial altar. 5 kinds of offerings are made into 5 kinds of fire. The 5 kinds of fire are conceived of as heavenly planets, clouds, the earth, man, and woman. And the 5 kinds of sacrificial offerings are faith, then jar on the moon, rain, grain, and semen. In the process of sacrifice, a living entity makes specific sacrifices to attain specific heavenly planets and consequently reaches them. When the merit of sacrifice is exhausted, the living entity descends to earth in the form of rain, then takes on the form of grains, and the grains are eaten by man and transformed into semen, which impregnates a woman, and thus the living entity once again attains a human form to perform sacrifice, and so repeat the same cycle in this way. The living entity perpetually comes and goes on the material path. The Krishna conscious person, however, avoids such sacrifice. He takes directly to Krishna consciousness and thereby prepares himself to return to Godhead. The impersonal commentators on the Bhagavad Gita unreasonably assume that Brahman takes the form of Jiva in the material world, and to substantiate this, they refer to chapter 15, verse 7 of the Gita. But in the verse, the Lord also speaks of the living entity as an eternal fragment of myself. The fragment of God, the living entity, may fall down into the material world, but the Supreme Lord Achyutya never falls down. Therefore, the assumption that the Supreme Brahman assumes the form of Jiva is not acceptable. It is important to remember that in Vedic literature, Brahman, the living entity, is distinguished from Parabrahma, the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. Raju Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adibhuta. Adibhuta, the material manifestations. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adidaiva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, I am called Adi Agna, the Lord of sacrifice. Perfect. The physical nature is constantly changing. The material body generally passes through 6 stages. They are newborn, they grow, they remain for some duration, they produce some byproducts, they dwindle, and then they vanish. The physical nature is called Adibhuta. Adibhuta. It is created at certain point and will be annihilated at certain point. The conception of the universal form is the form of Supreme Lord, which includes all the demigods and the different planets, is called Adidaiva. And present in the body, as along with the individual soul, is the super soul, a plenary representation of Lord Krishna. The super soul is called Paramatma or Adi Agna and is situated in the heart. The word Eva is particularly important in the context of the context of this verse, because by this word the Lord stresses and that the Paramatma is not different from him. The super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, stated beside the individual soul, is the witness of the individual soul's activities and the source of the soul's various types of consciousness. The super soul gives the individual soul an opportunity to act freely and witness his activities. the functions of all these different manifestations of the Supreme Lord automatically become clarified for the pure Krishna conscious devotee engaged in the transcendental service to the Lord. The gigantic universal for the form the Lord called Adi Daiva. Adi Daivata is contemplated by the neophyte who cannot approach the Supreme Lord in his manifestation as super soul. The neophyte is advised to contemplate the universal form or Virat Purusha, whose legs are consolidated the lower planets, whose eyes are considered the sun and moon, and those and whose head is considered the upper planetary system. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this was the preparation for our, one of the Bhakti Shastri exam, 8th chapter. Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva, and Adi Yajna. Right. So nicely described in Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Thank you for reading, Prabhuji. Let me read this verse. 5th verse. Yeah. Antakale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayat samadbhavam yati nastastra samshayaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Purport. In this verse, the importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the purest of the pure. Therefore, anyone who is constantly Krishna conscious is also the purest of the pure. The word smaran, remembering, is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree. Tarorapi Sahishnuna. There may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting Hare Krishna. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that at the end of one's life can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness. So this is the statement. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, mind, especially mind cannot listen to us. It is thinking on his or her own. Yes, so continuously, that is the only process. Even though your mind is thinking so many, still take the feedback chant. Mind will be controlled over time. Yes. We'll read one more verse, then we'll wrap up. Okay. Then you guys practice your slokas. Yeah. Mother, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Purport. The process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord, but it is not true that a person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Maharaja Bharata, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life, and so in his next life he was transferred into the body of a deer. Although as a deer he remembered his past activities, he had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death, so this life creates one's next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, is it possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life? That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendently absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendent, not material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. That is the best process. For successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. So one statement. So the lifetime of preparation. Death is an examination. So lifetime of preparation, chanting and hearing about the Lord, lifetime, always, constantly, incessantly. How will Prabhupada writes those words? Constantly, incessantly, perpetually. Then only we will be able to remember the Krishna. We have to show our sincerity, then some seriousness, then we will progress nicely. Yam vapi smaran bhavam, tyajate ante kalevaram, tam evati kaunteya, sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Bharat Maharaj example here explained because he was so much attached to the kid deer. So that attraction got converted into, takes another body of deer. Then, but he remembered that is a thing. So he reached the bhava stage. Ultimately, that is the last stage is prema stage. Bhava stage. There are 9 stages of progression, right? Adu sadhu sangha anartha nivrutti, ato shraddha sadhu sangha anartha nivrutti, bhajana kriya, tato nishta. The 9 stages there, right? Up to he has reached up to bhava stage, and he fell down. But this is a, he has that benediction. Remember his past activities. And one, he was, even though in deer's body, he got consciousness, previous life, whatever, activities performed, devotional activities. He got the consciousness. In next life, he got the form of Jada Bharata. So 3 lifetimes he has. In Jada Bharata, he perfected his life. And went back home back to God. So that's the thing. So yam vapi smaran bhavam. So everything. So 24 hours we have to properly plan ourselves. I'm speaking to myself especially. I'm also not there. Just like many of all of us. So we have to plan. Take up seriousness in that process. Yeah. Thank you again, Matajis and Prabhujis, for reading Srila Prabhupada's purports and reading Bhagavad Gita translations. So you all have, some of you have exam tomorrow. So prepare yourself. Who is in front of laptop? Because I have to wrap up. I have to do some office work. So I will give host access. So you all practice. Okay.
I'm on laptop, Prabhuji.
Madhuri?
I'm on laptop.
Yeah. Then you can do that. Madhuri, I'll make you host.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Practice nicely and prepare well. Try to get at least not 100 of 100, at least 90. try to get it. Make host. You can open up that slide which I shared, or it's up to you, Mata. You have that slide?
No, Prabhuji. I'm opening actually the one which was shared in Bhakti Shastri group.
PDF. I will share that PDF. That's easy to do that. Let me share right away.
This is also fine, Prabhuji. Actually, it has everything. I'll show it to you. Just see.
Yeah.
This is okay, right?
Yes. Because I don't know for all of you, but sometimes when we take the every day we were practiced by going through the slide. That picture imprinted in our minds.
Photographic memory. Okay, then I'll open that, no problem.
It's okay. It's up to you. I have shared, Mataji.
Yeah,
Your call.
I'll open that now. Yeah. Can everybody see it?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Lavanya Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Mataji. Please continue, Mataji.
Okay, can I drop off because I have to
Yeah,
focus?
yeah, Prabhuji, no problem.
Thank you so much. Nanda Pranam. Panchakalpatarubhyashta Kripasingham Padana Pavanata Vaishnava. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
So should I read translations, Mataji, or somebody is reading?
It's you can read, Mataji, because what I was doing yesterday was I was reading both and we were repeating. Whichever way you are okay, we'll do it that way.
Yeah. Okay, Mataji.
Okay, so let's just do, because it is practice, we'll just do and finish it off.
Okay.
Yeah. 7.5. Apareyam itastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param.
Apareyamitasvanyam prakritim vidhi me param.
Jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat.
Jivabhutam mahabaho yedam dharyate jagat.
Apareyam itastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param. Jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat.
Apareyamitasvanyam vidhi me param. Jivabhutam mahabaho yedam dharyate jagat.
Translation. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna,
Besides this, O mighty armed Arjuna,
there is another superior energy of mine,
there is another superior energy of mine
which comprises the living entities
which comprises the living entities
who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature.
who are exploiting the resources of this
material inferior nature.
7.14. Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya.
gunamayi mama maya durajjaya.
Mameva ye prapadyante mayametam taranti te.
Mameva prapadyante mayametam taranti te.
Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Mameva ye prapadyante mayametam taranti te.
Daivi gunamayi mama maya durajjaya. Mameva ye prapadyante mayametam taranti te.
Translation. This divine energy of mine,
This divine energy of mine,
consisting of the three modes of material nature,
which consisting of the three modes of material nature,
is difficult to overcome.
is difficult to overcome.
Those who have surrendered unto me
But those who are surrendered unto me
can easily cross beyond it.
can easily cross beyond it.
7.19. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate.
Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate.
Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha.
Vasudevah sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha.
Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha.
Bahunam
Bahunam
Janmanam
Janmanam Gnanavanam Prapadyate Vasudevah
Devah
Sarvamiti
Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha.
After many births and deaths,
After many births and deaths,
he who is actually in knowledge
he who is actually knowledge
surrenders unto me,
surrenders unto me,
knowing me to be the cause of all causes,
knowing me to be the cause of all causes,
and all that is.
and all that is.
Such a great soul is very rare.
Such a great soul is very rare.
8.5 Antakale cha mameva smaranmukva kalevaram.
Antakale
Yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra sanshaya.
Yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah.
Antakale cha mameva smaranmuktva kalevaram. Yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra sanshaya.
Antakale cha mameva smaranmukva
Kalevaram
Yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra
samshayah.
Translation. And whoever at the end of his life
And whoever at the end of his life
quits his body remembering me,
quits his body remembering me alone,
at once attains my nature.
at once attains my nature.
Of this there is no doubt.
Of this there is no doubt.
8.16 Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna.
Brahma bhavana loka punaravartino arjuna.
Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate.
Mam upetya tu
Kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate.
Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna. Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate.
Brahma bhavana loka punaravartino arjuna. Mamupetya kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate.
Translation. From the highest planet in the material world
From the highest planet in the material world
down to the lowest,
down to the lowest,
all are places of misery,
all are places of misery,
wherein repeated birth and death take place.
wherein repeated birth and death takes place.
But one who attains to my abode,
One who attains to my abode,
O son of Kunti,
O son of Kunti,
never takes birth again.
never takes birth again.
9.2 Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam.
Rajavidya Rajaguhyam
Pavitram
Idamuttamam.
Pratyakshavagam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam.
Pratyakshavangamam dharmam susukham
kartumavyayam.
Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam. Pratyakshavagam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam.
Rajaguhyam pavitram idamuttamam. Pratyakshavangamam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam.
Translation. This knowledge is the king of education,
This knowledge is the king of education,
the most secret of all secrets.
The most secret of all secrets.
It is the purest knowledge,
It is
The
the
purest
purest
knowledge.
and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization,
And because it gives direct perception of the self by realization,
it is the perfection of religion.
It is
the perfection of religion.
It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed.
It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed.
Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina.
Maya
Idam sarvam jagat avyaktam.
मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थिताः
मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थिता
मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगद् अव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थिताः
मया ततमिदं सर्वं अव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थिता
Translation. By me in my unmanifested form,
By me in my unmanifested form,
this entire universe is pervaded.
This entire universe is pervaded.
All beings are in me, but I am not in them.
All
All
beings are in
beings
me,
are in me,
but
but I am not in them.
9.14 Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataः
सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रता
नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते
नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते
सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रता नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते
सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रता नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते
Translation. Always chanting my glories,
Always chanting my glories,
endeavoring with great determination,
endeavoring with great
determination,
bowing down before me,
bowing down before me.
These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion.
These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion.
9.25 Yanti deva vrata devan pitranyanti pitrivrata
Yanti deva vrata devan pitrinyanti pitrivrata
Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajino apimam
Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajino apimam
Yanti deva vrata devan pitranyanti pitrivrata Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajino apimam
Yanti deva vrata devan pitrinyanti pitrivrata Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajino apimam.
Translation. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods.
Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors.
Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors.
Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings.
Those who worship ghost and spirit will take birth among such beings.
And those who worship me will live with me.
And those who worship me will live with me.
9.26 Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati.
Tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha.
Tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati. Tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati. Tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha.
Translation. If one offers me with love and devotion,
If one offers me with love and devotion,
a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water,
a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water,
I will accept it.
I will accept it.
27. Yat karoshi yadasnashi yat juhoshi dadasi yat sorry. Yeah.
Yat
Yat
karoshi
karoshi
yadasnashi
yadasnasi
yat
yat
juhoshi
juhoshi
dadasi
dadasi
Yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam.
Yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam.
Yat karoshi yadasnasi yat juhoshi dadasi yat. Yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam.
Yat karoshi yat ashnasi yat juhoshi dadasi yat.
Yat
Yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam.
Translation: whatever you do,
Whatever you do,
whatever you eat,
whatever you eat,
whatever you offer or give away,
Whatever you offer or give away,
and whatever austerities you perform,
and whatever austerities you perform,
do that, O son of Kunti,
do that, O son of Kunti,
as an offering to me.
as an offering to me.
9.29 Samoham sarvabhuteshu na me dveshyosti na priyaha.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu na me dveshosti na priyaha.
Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham.
Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu na me dveshyosti na priyaha. Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu na me dveshosti na priyaha.
Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya
maite teshu chapyaham.
Translation: I envy no one,
I envy no one,
nor am I partial to anyone.
nor am I partial to anyone.
I am equal to all,
I am equal to all,
but whoever renders service unto me in devotion
But
whoever renders service unto me in devotion
is a friend,
is a friend,
is in me, and I am also a friend to him.
and I am also a friend to him.
10.8 Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartati.
aham sarvasya prabhavo
Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaah.
iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaah.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaah.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaah.
Translation: I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds.
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds.
Everything emanates from me.
Everything emanates from me.
The wise who perfectly know this
The wise who perfectly know this
engage in my devotional service
engage in my devotional service
and worship me with all their hearts.
and worship me with all their hearts.
10.10 Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam.
Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam.
Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te.
Dadami buddhi yogam tam
yena
mamupayanti te.
Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te.
Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam
dadami
dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te.
Translation: To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love,
To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love,
I give the understanding by which they can come to me.
I give the
I give the
understanding by which they can come to me.
can come to me.
Yes, we are done.
Yeah,
Done.
thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
स्वामी स्वरूप वैष्णव बंधु की जय।
Krishna
शिला
Mahamantra.
प्रभुपाद
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Shri Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण। दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna.
Dandavат. All the best, Mataji.
All the
Prabhuji.
best, Mataji and Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Tomorrow is the D-Day. Let's rock the 14 shlokas. Okay, Mataji.
Yes,
Take care.
Mataji. Hare